First of all, gentlemen, how are you?
Pretty good, thanks.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for asking.
No worries. Alex, I'd like to start with you. You've proclaimed to be a massive fan of Sparks previously. When was the first time you heard them play?
At some point in my early 20s, I bought a big stack of 7-inch singles, and they were all really boring, apart from this one song called Amateur Hour, which is by Sparks, and that was my, like often it is with bands, you have one song which leads you into a whole catalogue of music, and that's the song that let me discover their back catalogue and also the contemporary catalogue, because at that time they just released the album Gratuitous Sax and Senseless Violins, so yeah, two sides to the band.
What was it that drew you into their music?
It didn't sound like anything I'd heard before. It was unique, ambitious, innovative, all the good things that music should be.
And well, these kinds of descriptions, innovative. What do these descriptions do to you, for you as a musician?
With Franz Ferdinand.
No.
Oh.
In the sense that being described as with these words, what does that mean to you as a musician? Innovative.
Makes me feel good. No, I mean it. You know, we kind of share a mutual. When we first heard Franz Ferdinand, we kind of thought the same thing. You know, that we heard them right towards the beginning with "Take Me Out," and you know what we've always tried to do, and I think the intent of Franz Ferdinand is to do those kind of records where you hear it it just does something electric to you, and we're always seeking out those kind of records as an inspiration just to kind of continue with pop music. Sometimes you feel like you're just getting bored with pop music in general, and then those kind of records come along, like Take Me Out, and you realize there are still possibilities within that area. But I mean, obviously it's really flattering when somebody is inspired by what you're doing, especially a musician you respect.
And Alex, for you as well, what Ron describes, the way that music now can at times be unimaginative, or do you feel the same?
There's always songs that do surprise you. Like, I feel that it's very rare that you hear terrible music. The most often music just feels like wallpaper. It feels like there's nothing spectacularly good or spectacularly bad. But I do still hear songs that every now and again you hear a song and think, oh, that's really cool, there's something original there. Like I remember hearing recently On the Regular by Shamir and thinking, oh, that's cool, like there's something, I've not heard that before, that delivery, that the way that song's put together, it's good, And of course, there's still stuff happening that inspires you. And like Ron says, I feel the same. I'm always on the lookout for that kind of music.
So, Ron, when was it that you two discovered Franz Ferdinand? Was it before you met the band?
It was, yeah, and we had also kind of simultaneously read an article in the British press, even though we were in Los Angeles, an interview with Franz Ferdinand, and they had mentioned that they liked what we were doing, and so a meeting was arranged in Los Angeles while they were there at a hotel in LA where they were staying in Hollywood, and we got along personally, and then it was casually mentioned, oh, we should do something someday. Those kind of things that bands always say that they don't really intend, but there was some intent behind that statement at that time.
Because, well, like you say, I imagine this is being said to a lot of people in the music industry. So, what made this different?
Well, one thing was just the just getting, just feeling that it's kind of an intangible thing, but just feeling that you're on the same wavelength as somebody else, both in a personal sense, but just musically as well. I mean, when there's part of it is just speaking with people, and I think a shared sense of humor is something that you kind of feel that you have a bond with somebody if they have a similar sense of humor. And we could kind of tell, at that first meeting that this is some, obviously from that song we knew that we would have something in common on that level, but just on a deeper level, we thought that this is something that could work. I mean, we never knew if it could work until it worked.
Right. And it wasn't until, well, I think 2013 that the flame was rekindled in a way.
Yeah.
What happened? Why that particular moment?
Well, it was a random act of fate that we were both in San Francisco, Sparks and Franz Ferdinand, performing 2 concerts in that city, and walking down the street one day when we both had an off day, we thought there's a guy that looks awful like Alex Kapranos walking down the street, and then we passed and we said, nah, it couldn't be him. What would he be doing in this city at the same time that we are? Then coming back in the opposite direction, there's a guy who looks an awful lot like Alex Kapranos walking towards us, and we said, in fact, that is Alex Kapranos walking towards us. And we stopped him and said, Alex, it's us, it's Sparks. And of course, well, he remembered us. Lo and behold. So that was a good start to the relationship. He remembered who we were.
Yeah. Did you keep in touch over the years?
No, well, ironically, we didn't. And I don't know why. There was no reason, but, both bands obviously were recording and very active and touring and all. And there's absolutely no reason. We kind of wonder now, well, gee, somebody should have made a phone call or something during that time and would have saved us having to bump into Alex on the street in San Francisco randomly to rekindle the whole idea of working together.
It's funny. Somebody reminded me of this earlier on today. In fact, I'd forgotten, but on an interview with Radio 2 in Britain, I'd said, oh yeah, we'd still love to do a collaboration with Sparks, and maybe instead of saying it on the interview, I should have actually just given them a phone and said, what about it, guys? Shall we do it?
The direct approach sometimes works best.
Yeah, unfortunately they weren't tuned into Radio 2 that day.
No.
But so was it as simple as this in 2013, where you came in contact with each other and then, well, let's just do it?
Yeah.
This is simple as as meeting again, and then the idea of doing it was still there from both sides, but then actually the actual practicality of, well, how do what's next? How do you even do something like this? Then there are all those issues, but we had done one song previous at the initial time that we had met the guys. The song "Piss Off," and we had sent it to them, and that was the period where they were crazy busy having huge success with their first album, and it didn't allow time obviously to do anything, but that song still was there, and that was kind of the initial bit of actual something tangible to hang on to, to start the project with, but then we wanted to do something from more current to really say, okay, we're doing this now once again, and it's really fresh and new. And so we had come up with the song "Collaborations Don't Work," and it's sort of I wouldn't say it's typical of the FFS album, but it's a song that was sort of uncompromising in a lot of ways, both musically, and it's very expansive and adventurous, and having a lot of different sections that somehow gel together as one whole piece. And also lyrically, it's really unconventional, and also is kind of in a way self-referential about what we were even embarking on, and the collaboration between the two bands. And we sent it to the guys and said, I don't know, this, see what they think of this, and Alex and the guys came up with their rebuttal to it in the section of a piece of music that soon became a new section of that piece of music, and it was them saying, well, I ain't no collaborator, and it was their kind of a tit-for-tat sort of response to our proclamation of collaborations don't work, and so we knew at that point that if both of us could embrace a piece of music and a sentiment that had some humor to it, and it was even referential towards towards our own project, what was we were all about to embark on, if that could work like this from both camps, and we sort of felt, wow, we've overcome a huge hurdle.
There was a line I wrote down from that song, which is, you start off deferential and strangely referential. So was this a concern when you started on the project?
In a certain sense, I think, at least from our perspective, both of those, working with another band is kind of a daunting proposition for us, and so we felt both reverential and deferential. But the thing that made it easier was the fact that we were writing 6,000 miles away rather than in person, where our being referential and being deferential could kind of be not seen, and we could just work. And so I think the fact that we were so separated is something that eased the project rather than making it more difficult.
I think it was a good way to start as well, because by addressing what the pitfalls are of collaborations, you know how to avoid them straight away.
Because that was one of the things that I've that interested me was in how this project came together. Because obviously you two have been working together how long, and it all comes naturally. And then all of a sudden you have this other band to be creative with. So how did that work? Was it all done over a long distance?
It was all done over 6,000 miles distance.
Yeah.
We didn't actually get in a room together to play until a week before the recording. And so there was a year and a half of preparation, lots and lots of preparation and consideration and arrangements and exchanges of ideas. It was truly collaborative, lots of ideas exchanged. But when we got together, it was a week before we recorded that we first discovered whether it did work or not, and whether the two voices would work together and whether we would slot together as a band. Fortunately, it did. Yeah.
Was there one song then when you went and recorded it where everything kind of fell into place? Well, you mentioned.
I think in the writing, it was that initial exchange that suggested that it might work. There were two songs exchanged around about the same sort of time. Ron sent over the first stage of Collaborations Don't Work, and we sent over the first stage of what became Police Encounters. And as the songs went back and forward, they both became something that they hadn't been before. And the sound became something that hadn't been before as well, because you could hear elements of Franz Ferdinand and you could hear elements of Sparks in them, but they were both together and both becoming something completely new, which is surely what a collaboration should be. And I know that was, I can't speak for others, but those two songs were the moment when I felt excited and felt that, oh yeah, here is something that could be new.
And in these situations, is there then a worry that you don't want to step on anybody's toes? We mentioned the referential.
No, quite the opposite. Okay. I think in a way, Ron's being doubly clever by sending off a proposition like Collaborations Don't Work, because he's being as unreverential and undeferential as he possibly can be. And likewise with our response by saying, well, I ain't no collaborator, that's equally as unreverential, you know.